And welcome back to the Four Pillar Podcast, where we stand for faith, family, fitness, and finance in that order, baby. And welcome back to a new episode. We have some special guests in today. We have Chad and Ann Evans, and they do a lot of, I want to make sure I say this correctly, and I'll let them introduce themselves here, but marriage workshop kind of stuff, or self-help, self-growing, especially when it comes to, I mean, we were just talking about God and putting the spiritual element inside of it, and they come together as a couple to help do personal life coaching and coaching in that side of things, and I'm super excited to have them in here. And I've known Ann for a really long time, and I'm super excited for the experience and the knowledge that they've gained together as a couple, going down this coaching adventure together, and just what they have to offer and share. And Kylie and I are super excited to learn something from them, and I'm sure they have something majestic that they're going to share that's going to be great for everybody to know. So really quick though, go ahead and can both of you just kind of introduce yourself and tell us, about your coaching that you do.
Sure. I'm Ann, and we're just so thrilled to be here as my husband Chad, and we are just so grateful that you are allowing us to come and visit with you on this podcast today. And some of the things that we are moving our focus more to are relationship coaching and joy potential coaching. Chad does some sound immersion sessions, and we are finding that because we're shifting to things that we enjoy more, we're just, we're growing closer together because we're working together, and we're just loving most of it. I mean, there have been new challenges coming up just because, this is the way you work on these things, and this is the way I work on things. So we're becoming closer because we're finding out more about each other, and it's a lot of fun.
Really quick, what you said, sound immersion. That sounds really cool. What is that, if you don't mind me asking?
So that's something that I'm focusing on. I hadn't really, when I married Ann, I'd never even heard of it, but she said, "Hey, have you ever been to a sound bath?" And I was thinking like a bathtub and people around, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that. That did not sound good, but we went to one, and they used different sound and like bowls, and just different sounds, and what it does is it relaxes and just brings almost an inner peace. It was so much fun, and I was like, wow, I like this. And so I took some time and went to some trainings in Florida for that, and I love it. It's something where I do hour-long sessions, and I use different instruments like tuning forks, or I've got Tibetan bronze bowls and the crystal bowls, and just work on people with those around them with a sound and vibration. And it's amazing to me how people that maybe struggle with some anxiety or even depression or that type of thing,
or pain,
or just over an hour time period, they go from whatever they're struggling with to just, we almost have to wheel them out in a wheelbarrow because they're so relaxed.
Yeah.
I remember way back when I first started, one of my first clients, she was struggling with some addictions and some things like that, and Ann had told her that this might be something that could help her out. She came in, she was really, she was nervous. She'd never heard anything about it either, but as we worked through the different things, at the end, she's like, I hope I can drive home okay. She's like,
like that, that relax is what
that
you're
relaxed. She was like,
wow.
I can't remember a time in my life I have been this relaxed. And next time I met with her, she said, Chad, I went home. I know it was only noon, but I went home. Luckily, it was my day off. I woke up the next morning, and I was like,
She fell
She
asleep
went-
at like basically at noon and
Yeah,
slept
and slept
holy
all
moly.
the rest of the day and all through the night. She said, usually I'm up at night several times. She's like, I can't believe what that did for me. And it brings me peace and joy to see people that are struggling find something that isn't a pill or isn't something that a doctor says, just take this. You'll only have to take it for the rest of your life.
Right.
And it actually works. And so I really enjoy it.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
some science behind it. We're really into the science portion of it. I mean, you can get really crazy with that kind of stuff, and we try to stick to the science behind it.
Right,
And,
exactly.
you know, everything's vibrating at a frequency. So, you know, according to physics, according to quantum physics, every single thing is vibrating at a frequency. And so there's different frequencies for the different organs in our bodies that they optimally vibrate at. And so the idea with this is that if we play certain notes that vibrate at those frequencies, there's something called entrainment that can happen. And we are hoping that that organ or that emotion or whatever of the body will want to come up and meet and entrain with the note or the frequency that we're playing. And that is something that's, you know, a decently well-respected
Yeah, that's
fact in
that's
physics.
fascinating.
So we try to keep it pretty science-based.
And that's what I was wondering, if it had to do something with the vibrations, or have you guys ever
Yeah.
heard of sound gating before as well too? The term
I have
the term sound gating. So it's something with basically how your brain can conceptualize sound in your body. So, like for an example, it's like if you were to sit at a Starbucks, right? And maybe you're having a conversation with your spouse or a friend, and you can focus on your spouse, right, or the person sitting in front of you. But if you were to stop and close your eyes and actually listen, you can hear all the sound decibels from everything, right? The ice, the cup of ice, and the other things.
Right.
And so what's happening is our bodies are actually overstimulated from sound gating so hard. There was a study done where there was like a waitress that had severe, like a migraine and like some sort of issue that was, you know, like a migraine issue that caused her to have headaches and stuff. And so I forget how they got her to study all this stuff, but regardless, they did like a sound test or sound gating test in the restaurant she worked, like 10-hour shifts, and the decibels came back at 104 roughly. And by the CDC's guidelines, which I mean, I take the CDC for what they for what they are, but still, the CDC says if you work in an environment with something louder than 96 decibels for more than 15 minutes, you should have ear protection on.
Wow.
And the restaurant was at 104, and she worked 10-hour shifts.
Wow.
And then so they link that to potentially, you know, that being like the different frequencies and decibels that our bodies are exposed to and stuff. And that's what I wondered, if that had something to do with it as well too. And that stuff also fascinates me.
It is
Yeah,
really
that is.
interesting.
I
fun
hadn't
to get
heard that
into.
before, but one thing that's interesting, a lot of times when these people come in for treatments, whether it's an injury or something like that, if I start with the tuning forks just to right around the head, just to get the people to kind of relax and have something to focus on. So it's a little bit like you're saying. And if there's a particular part of the body that is out of sync, or the person's recovering from an injury or whatever, the tuning forks almost immediately stop. And we'll just continue to work an area or whatever. And over the course of an hour, I've never had an issue where there isn't some improvement with that, just through continuing to work with the area and different frequencies and that sound on the body.
That is fascinating. I'm going to have to come do one of those.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And in the sound immersion, so he does one-on-one sessions, but in the sound immersions, where we usually will do it in a group,
Right.
both of us will be playing instruments, and people just are allowed to just recline and relax, and they can close their eyes if they want to, but they don't
They
have
can
to.
sleep, which
Some people fall asleep, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's really fun to do together. And but we have like a bunch of different instruments because they can access different frequencies, depending on the instrument better.
Right, kind of like you said, there's different frequencies, and the instruments
Yeah.
have
Right.
different.
And
Exactly.
the bowls, if
Yeah.
you've heard of binaural beats or binaural patterns, the bowls actually do that, and it actually affects the brain waves, and you can take yourself into a deeper relaxation state, which is what we want, because in the parasympathetic nervous system, if we're in that part of our nervous system, that's where we do healing. That's where we can heal from trauma. That's where we can heal, physically from wounds and things and sicknesses. So that's what we want, and that's one of our biggest goals
Right.
Yeah.
in sound wellness.
Yeah, that's super fascinating.
Yeah.
And sorry, I know we hit a rabbit trail right there in the first 10 seconds, but really quick.
But it was a fun
It
one.
was
It
a
was
fun
fun.
one. So just to backtrack really quick as well too. So Anne, you also used to be a LMT as well too, a licensed massage therapist. And I guess just to preface, not the ones with the big neon glowing lights that say.
Not that one.
Nothing like those.
And Chad, I know you came from. You actually moved to Ohio from Utah. Am I
Yeah.
the state correct? Right.
Yeah.
So what kind of motivated you guys to shift your focus to go from obviously a LMT and I apologize, I can't remember what all. You
I
Utah,
worked for
but
the state of Utah
That's
for
right,
22
okay.
years, and one of the things I did was I worked with people that were unemployed, and I did coaching, and I loved it. It was so fun to see people that were struggling with something and help them with that. And so when I moved out here, I actually thought, in what way can I do something similar where I'm helping people and working with people? I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Westminster University, and so I wanted to do something that would be of benefit to people, and so Ann and I started working on different things. We took a life coaching certification. Now we're certified as relationship coaches, and add the sound immersion as well. It's just a lot of different ways to help people have a better experience in their lives.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Anne? Or
I think I wanted to shift because I'm still a massage therapist, but I have shifted focus. I've been doing massage for about 25 years, but as much as I enjoyed it, I wanted to be able to offer more, and I experienced a lot of help through coaching and through I went through a kind of a rough patch a few years back, and so I started going to regular coaching appointments and regular emotional processing appointments and regular therapy, and I benefited so much from it that I really wanted to be able to help facilitate that kind of hope and wellness for other people. So that's probably, and we both prayed about it a lot, and we felt like that was the direction that we were being nudged to go. So
And we really enjoy it.
yeah, we love it. It's fun.
And so you mainly focus on, you would say, relationship, life, and is that kind of like your guys' main focus? And obviously the sound that we talked about,
Right.
is that kind of your main focus or main kind of people that you're trying to work with? Is I should say, when I ask that as well too, like, so basic kind of, you said you brought up life coaching, right? So, are you kind of looking at more for married couples or people in relationships, or does it really matter who you want to work with?
We do both. So I've been doing joy potential coaching, which there's a week-long certification intensive class in Indiana that our teachers teach.
Right.
They're actually the same people that we got our relationship coaching. That was about a year long.
Yeah, it was a year-long course.
Certification through. So we do several different kinds. And For the relationship coaching, sure, we can coach a couple, but what if there's somebody whose partner doesn't want to come to the coaching appointment? Well, sure, we can help them, clarify their goals and their part in the relationship and learn some communication and empathy skills. I mean, it's kind of limitless whether they bring their partner or not, the things that we can all work on, because that's kind of where it starts anyway, is taking 100% responsibility for ourselves in a relationship in order to have any growth happen. So, yes, couples, but also if just one marriage partner or relationship partner wants to come and do the work, and sometimes then later the other partner will come. And then I do a lot of work with people with the joy potential coaching as well. And Chad is beginning to do more of that too. So,
Right.
And what does I'm curious about that as well too. So you said joy potential. So what does that look like, or how does something like that work?
So there's a lot of different tools with that. There's a lot of kind of assessing, like, what's your joy level right now? And most people are, just kind of rushing through life, trying to get everything done on their list, and maybe not experiencing the joy that God has for them on a regular basis. And I think it was Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor that said emotions take 90 seconds to work their way through the body. And so if we experience joy, or we experience a positive emotion, if we don't take time to savor that while it's there, it'll be gone in 90 seconds, and we won't have enjoyed it. So if we're just pushing through, we're not going to have as much joy or satisfaction or fulfillment. So it's kind of teaching us to self-assess. There's assessment tools in the coaching to find out where our joy level is, and what does joy look like, feel like, smell like. What is joy to us, to each person? And then it just goes from there. I mean, there's so many things. There's some emotional processing we can do in the coaching sessions if it's called for. There's just a lot of really, really cool things to just get to know yourself more and learn how to slow down and savor the joy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That was my kind of next question with that. When you talk about joy, right? I was going to ask, well, as well too, like, you think ultimate joy comes from God as well too.
Absolutely.
So
Sure.
I was curious if you maybe do you have people that you work with that maybe don't have that, or do you think that's a key element to accomplish that objective?
A key element.
Like God is the key element to accomplish that objective.
Well, for me it is. Not all of our clients believe in God or are, Christians. And that's fine. I don't have to talk about that in their sessions if that's not something that is part of their wheelhouse at the moment.
Right.
But I always pray before I work with somebody. Maybe not with them right there, but I pray before they come. I pray for them throughout the week as I think about I wonder how they're doing with their homework or whatever. And yes, I mean, we are, our purpose is to glorify God. Our purpose is to have joy. He made us to have joy. And so, yeah, I think it's a key element in any happiness and finding our purpose. But we certainly coach without talking about that aspect or using different verbiage
Right.
for clients.
That's one thing I've noticed is there's so many lessons that the Savior taught when he was on the earth. And if we're working with somebody that might not be a part of their life, we can take that truth and explain that to them without using the Savior. as an example, the truth is still there.
Truth
The
is
mess-
truth.
Yeah, the message is still there. It may not be necessarily in their wheelhouse, but everything that we do is to glorify God.
And is centered basically around the gospel. And we can use different verbiage. Truth is truth, know, and it works.
As Ian's been going through the Bible, he loves to read, and he's read like a lot of those business books and stuff, and he's like, all of these principles are in the Bible. Like, everything goes back to the Bible. So it's interesting that you're saying that, because there's these books that are 800 pages long and they don't bring up God, but all of their principles are biblical principles.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed. Rich, I don't know like how much you guys get into reading like some of the other people's like self-help business books, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean ultimately when you break it down, like all these concepts and what they're doing, I mean they come from God and from the Bible. I mean, and
exactly.
from the wisdom that He put in the Bible, from whatever person that He talked to at the time, and throughout the Bible, and that's super interesting to see. Like you said, it's, the truth is truth. I mean, it all comes back to that.
That's true. Yeah.
So do you have an example of maybe a client that you've worked with that you feel like has had a good transformation through that process? Obviously not explain who it is or tell who it is, but I mean, how have you seen that help maybe a client or something that you guys were like, wow, this was amazing, like what happened to this person, how we were able to coach them through what they're going through?
I'm thinking of one lady in particular, and I know that she would not mind me sharing about this. I won't obviously say who it is, but she had really bad anxiety. I mean, it was crippling. It was driving every action every day. Just a lot of pressure there for her. And she had gone through a really nasty divorce, which is never fun. Never an easy thing to go through, and she was doing a lot of soul searching. And so she went through a series of joy potential coaching with the emotional processing in it. And she was able to create some clarity and around what was actually causing her anxiety every day. And then she was able to make a plan to help manage and reduce that anxiety. She was able to just make some really great goals for her future and learn to focus more on the positive things. Because most of the time when we have anxiety, as she learned, we're worried about things that 80% of the time don't even happen. Mm-hmm. So we're spending all our time being anxious about things that may or may not happen, and most likely won't happen. So she was able to realize that, and she was able to shift her focus to things. And once you start shifting your focus, the more you can stand back and kind of look at your thoughts and your feelings and observe them, and you can name them as, well, that's a lie. That's a lie. And once you start putting a plan in place to kind of redirect, pray, read scripture, sing praise songs, whatever works for each person, the more you do it, the easier it goes, and the faster your brain and your body switch over to peace. And so
and part of that is the gratitude element.
Yeah, so she definitely, that was somebody who really benefited from the gratitude thing, the whole idea of gratitude. So if I were to tell our listeners to do one thing, if they're not feeling joy in their life, if I were to tell them to do one thing differently every day, I would say start a regular gratitude practice in the morning every day. Because then I keep a gratitude journal every morning, because every every time we do that, our brain rallies around us and says, okay, everybody, we're going to have a good day. We're going to look for the things to be grateful for today. And so then I go throughout my day finding things to be grateful for, like, oh, isn't this great? I got a front row parking place, like all these little things you start to feel and notice. And as opposed to if I were to wake up and say, I'm not a morning person. This is going to be such a terrible day.
And it's raining again.
And it's raining
Ohio.
again. Traffic's terrible. Yeah. And then my mind would be like finding everything negative to prove me right. Because I had made a statement that it was going to be a terrible day. So I would say a regular gratitude practice is a fantastic first change to make.
Now, do you have anything specific with like the gratitude journal? Like for an example, something that I do is I wake up every morning and it's 3 things you're grateful for, 3 goals you want to hit, 3 targets you're going to accomplish today. Is
That's
kind of
awesome.
is my sequence. But I was curious though
That's great.
if there's like something that specific that maybe you can shift your mindset into, like, because sometimes I feel like, right, when you do it every single day, it's like, well, I'm grateful for my wife, right? And that's like you could say like an easy one. You could write that every single day, right? Kind of thing. Which I'm not saying you shouldn't, right? but I'm saying is like, is there a way, like, or an exercise or activity? How do you really stimulate that thought process of like what you're actually grateful for? I say I am always grateful for her, but if you understand where I'm coming from with that.
I do. I guess I don't have a big system for it.
Yeah.
But I try to do 3 things in the morning. And then I find that once I get to 3 things, it comes more easily. And I just basically end up with a whole page of things I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And I do try to, I think about, oh, well, I wrote that I was grateful for this yesterday, so I'm going to write something different today.
Okay.
So I just try not to like repeat it over and over and just try to do new things.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that when you do repeat those things, like one thing would be, I'm thankful for our 4-year-old daughter, but then I started thinking about like, I'm really thankful she knows how to write her name now. I'm really thankful that she loves being in the garden. And so I think like adding, if you feel like you're writing the same thing every day, adding something about that's different. Like, I'm really glad my husband took the time to do our water filters today. And like, I think that would be a good twist on that.
Yeah, that's a good way to look about it. I'm grateful for that my wife stopped hitting me with cast iron skillets and she went to aluminum.
You hit all the cast iron skills.
Stainless steel, Ian. Terrible.
And then backtrack a little bit, and a question for you talked about anxiety, right? People, this lady that had anxiety. So what's you I guess you already brought up gratitude, but I was going to ask, what is a skill or a short kind of exercise, something you could give right now that could help that person? Because I feel like everybody, the main kind of source of anxiety is kind of what you said. It's basically being scared of the future, and because you don't know what's going to come from the future, essentially, or whatever your issues or problems are at that time.
Yeah, so I would say, actually, I just did a workshop on reduction and management of anxiety, and it was really, really fun. So when you're in the middle of having anxiety, if you can take your focus off of the future thing that you're worried about and bring yourself right here in this moment, it's nearly impossible. It's much less likely that you're going to go into a full-blown panic attack or continue in your anxiety if you can bring your focus to right here in this moment. And so what I tell people to do is to get really creative with experiencing the room they're in, their senses. What does my hand feel like?
That may not be a good idea in here because you might smell my sweaty geese, is what Kylie...
Well, we won't experience the sense of smell today.
We'll skip that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, but just all
Okay.
the look around. What do I see? You know, what am I hearing? Like, what are all the little noises I can hear in the room or in nature? Nature really is great for anxiety. Going outside is just, you know, listening to whatever you hear outside, the breeze through the leaves in the tree, the birds singing. Yeah, so like
That even
touch.
sounds like a really good exercise for just making yourself be more present as well, too, right?
Very
I
much
mean,
so.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taste. You know, sometimes I'll drink a cup of herb tea and just like really focus on that and what it tastes like and savor it, and you know, to bring myself really to the present. So, and it's really, really helpful for being more at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have? So my next question is, with relationship coaching, why do you feel that relationship coaching or life coaching is so important today, or why is it important?
Well, it seems like in this world, there's a lot of things that can go on that can make our lives difficult or even our relationships. And so we find even going through this training and starting this business, one of the things it's done is it's actually brought us closer together. We're learning not only how to help other people, but how we can better communicate and how we can step back a little bit and remember that even though Ann and I tend to look at things very similar, our approach to getting things done are vastly
Very
different.
Okay.
And so this has helped us, and we like that we're able to help people work through their relationships and find ways to communicate better and just find peace and joy in a relationship, because the honeymoon phase doesn't last forever.
It
And
doesn't.
we've seen a lot of people, I mean, just people that we care about and know that they tend to get past the honeymoon stage and then get stuck and struggle and then go on for decades, not necessarily getting divorces or whatever, but not being happy, not finding joy. And so just working through some of these processes, it helps everybody see where they're at and see what they can improve on.
Is there, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is there a misconception with relationship coaching that I feel like some people, they would almost have to be to the point of divorce to seek out that kind of help, where it sounds a lot like you guys could help in any stage of that relationship they're in. Like, you could have a healthy relationship, but it could always, you could talk to your spouse better, you could have more empathy. So is there some misconceptions there with relationship coaching that you almost have to be to the point of divorce to go seek that out?
You're right. There are some misconceptions out there about that, and sometimes, you know, one partner will come and the other one will eventually come along because they're seeing improvement in the partner that has been coming to coaching. But yes, really, I mean, I think, and I think Chad would agree with me, that, you know, our mental health is so important, and, you know, and our relationships affect our mental health, and our mental health affect our relationships. And so I think everybody should be going to life coaching and therapy, and because we all have baggage, all of us, to work through. And it should be as normal as taking a shower, you know, like it should be as normal as going to the gym. It should be just a regular part of taking good care of ourselves, of good self-care. because there's always room for improvement, always, in our relationships, and there's tools. I never knew that there were these tools and skills. I never knew that there were stages in a relationship. There's the honeymoon phase, there's the power struggle phase, there's commitment phase, there's growth, there's thriving. I never knew about those, and I was just stuck in the power struggle phase for so long. But then to find out that there's all these tools and skills, and different ways of looking at things and looking at myself and the way that I deal with things that could improve not only my happiness and my peace, but our relationship and create more connection. So yes, I think you're right. There's room for improvement, always. Yeah.
What's like one of the most basic, or not basic, it doesn't have to be basic, but the common challenges that you guys see with relationships when coaching them? Is there one that sticks out that you feel like is pretty common or people struggle with?
Communication. I think a lot of times we grow up in our families and then move into relationships, and we bring what we grew up with. You know, I might communicate a little bit like my dad did.
Right.
Anne might communicate a little bit like her parents or from her background, and the two don't come together all that well without some coaching to look for ways to just communicate in a more healthy way. I know Anne brought up earlier, looking at ourselves and being 100% responsible. That's not something that necessarily comes natural to anybody. And so one thing that we've learned is there are some basic things that we can do and say when we're maybe disagreeing with our spouse that can help them understand that, just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to be disagreeable. Mm-hmm. And so just finding a few phrases and verbiage can make such a difference in how we communicate.
Yeah, communication is a big deal. I would say some of the challenges that most couples that we talk with, and we have experienced ourselves, are things like feeling unheard, unseen, unappreciated, having the same circular arguments over and over that keep coming back around. And there's 3 or 4 things that most couples fight about the most, like parenting styles and finances. Intimacy, and what's the other one? Oh, the division of chores and work. Yeah. And those are some the main things that people fight about all the time. And so we have something called the breakthrough process that we teach couples to kind of go through when they're having those circular arguments. We teach empathy. We teach how to fill each other's love tanks, so to feel more connected, to look at ourselves, to look at themselves, and finally say, okay, how have I been contributing to the way things are? Mm-hmm. How have I, and what does this marriage or what does this relationship need from me in order to thrive? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that's really good. And so it all kind of more or less, you guys think, comes back to communication as well too, right? I mean, there's different problems inside of that, like you said, the finances and all that. But would you say the main kind of problem is stimulates from communication potentially?
Communication, and we've been reading a lot of work by Sue Johnson, and she studied attachment theory and attachment styles, and she said if you can focus on, making the couple feel connected and having healthy attachment, most of the other issues will become less important as long as the couple can feel connected, feel cared about, feel like they have secure attachment with each other. So that, I feel, is the basis for all of the stuff we teach. And those are just ways to create more secure attachment.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, that is. One thing that I've noticed that I feel like we've had roadblocks on personally, and I know my friends have too in their marriages, is when a big life event happens. It's almost like reintroducing yourself. When we had Eden, it was quite a shock to the system for both of us. It was our first child, and although we agreed on paper, like, I'll stay home, I'm going to breastfeed, all of this stuff, you don't have to stay long, like, at home, or, like, have a paternity leave, all of this stuff. Like, when you got into the thick of it, it was like, this is crazy. And I know that happens with retirement. And I mean, at every aspect of somebody's life, it's not just like when you first get married or when you have kids. It can happen if somebody gets fired from their job and stuff. So do you have any advice for those big life events, that maybe with the communication or connection that you were referring to?
Yeah, I would say, and even though some of those events you were talking about are good events,
Absolutely,
they're still stressful. And so I would encourage the couple to create maybe a daily ritual together, or if you don't like the word ritual, come up with a habit.
Yeah.
Create a daily habit of, or a few, maybe just make sure you connect at the end of the day. Like, we talked about gratitude a lot. Chad and I try to tell each other 3 things at the end of the day that they did that day that we are appreciative of. And so I would definitely say, like, create little rituals like that. Go for a walk together. Something that you do every day to connect sometime in that day. And it's a habit, so you can count on it. Just to foster connection through the stress.
That's really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's super simple as well too, because like a lot of people talk about having like different habits and like journaling and all that stuff, but like, do you have a habit to help your relationship that could be just as simple or something like that you said? So that's really
it doesn't
good.
have to be hugely time consuming, but something that you can count on to connect with your partner at the end or at the beginning of the day,
or both if you can.
Or both, yeah.
Yeah. What's something new that you guys learned about each other when you went down this road of the coaching?
You first.
So there's a strength assessment that we suggest people take. And yes, there's a lot of questions, but it only takes 15 or 20 minutes. The thing that was so interesting is our strengths are completely different. And when you understand your spouse's personality and what is most important for them and what their strengths are, if you can focus your lives on things that are maybe your strengths, then it works so much better than everybody trying to do everything and just not being sure. And so that's just one thing that seemed to make such a big difference for us, is understanding the strengths of and weaknesses. It goes through both a little bit, or things that are maybe less showing as opposed to those that are the easiest to see.
Yeah. So Chad, his top strength is spirituality. He's very spiritual, very religious, very, he's really good about leading us in prayer every day, and just his whole outlook, everything is centered for him around spirituality. And so that's a strength of his that I appreciate, because I have trouble with consistency. and he can create that consistency for us in that area. He's also one of his, I think maybe his second strength is creativity, which is great because he's also a lot of fun. So he's our creative, like, and he knows how to have fun. I don't know so much how to have fun, and so it balances me out some. So I appreciate those strengths about him. I found those things out about him. My number one strength is that I'm honest, which
And honesty is the most important thing to her because
yes.
of that.
I'm not sure if Chad would always, think that my honesty is a strength, my number one strength, but he goes along with it pretty well. So yeah, we have learned a lot about each other. I tend to dive into things. I tend to make things happen. I tend to make big, long, elaborate plans.
And lists.
And he researches. He pauses. He researches. So we balance each other out. He'll take longer to do something. We'll have the same list of goals. But my timeline will be, okay, we're going to do this in
a week.
And he'll be like, okay, we're going to do this in 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's good because I move too quickly without enough research. And I also encourage him to move, right? To actually go down the list. So, yeah, we've learned a lot
I
about
love
each
that.
other.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and those two strengths like complement each other as well too. Like you said as well, very complement each other very well.
Yeah.
What upcoming workshop or marriage workshops or relationship coaching workshops do you guys have coming up, or how can someone get a hold of you as well too if they're interested in potentially needing coaching?
So we have a couple of relationship retreats that are already full in October, but in the beginning of November we have one that we'll be putting up on the website tonight.
Okay.
And it'll be local. It'll probably be just for the day. And there's a lot of really good tools and fun that we have planned for the retreats. Our website is it's mindfulrelationshipcoaching.com.
Okay.
And so we'll put a lot of information up there this evening on the website.
Are you guys on social media as well?
Are you on the gram, Ann?
Actually, we need to be, but we're not.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's okay.
To this point, we haven't been.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we are, but our business isn't
Gotcha.
yet.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you want to share a phone number, or someone else wants to
An email, a phone number.
could contact you for questions?
Email
or...
us. It's mindfulrelationshipcoaching@gmail.com.
Okay. Awesome.
Or if you shoot us a message, we can send you that email as well.
Yes, as
Thank
well.
you.
Or I'll make sure it's in the description of the
there
episode
we
as
go.
well too, and I'll link your website in there as well too, where they could get to the contact information or whatever's
Right.
on there.
Thank you both.
Thank you guys for coming in and doing this.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. There was
It was
a lot
fun.
of really good information as well too.
This is on the spot, but do you guys have a book recommendation? We've
I'm
been
glad you said
asking
that. Yeah.
the guest that. So
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we have
number
so
one
many.
book recommendation.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
Yes, but I need to look at
or
my
top,
phone.
top three if
Or
you
top
can't
three.
pick one.
and obviously, and we used to tell people it can't be the Bible. Yet we realize
See,
that's
that was
that's
gonna
number
be my
one.
first.
Right.
So I would say anything by John Gottman. He
Yeah,
has spent like
Gottman's are
40 years
great.
researching relationships.
What's like your number one from him?
All right, let me look in my library here and see. Oh, I don't know how to work this. Oh, it was like 7. Do you remember? I think it was like 7 Habits for Making Relationships Work or something like that. I
Okay.
could be totally wrong on that title, but that's what it sounds like.
Okay.
John and Julie Gottman.
Yeah, John Gottman. And then there's one by, The Love Languages book, of course, which I think most people have heard of, by Gary Chapman, is a really good one.
Right.
And then anything by Sue Johnson
Okay.
would be really good, because she's the one that really came up with the attachment. Well, she's the one that's worked a lot with the attachment theory of late.
Okay.
Other people actually came up with it. John Bowlby, I think, was the one that coined the attachment theory term. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
What about you, Chad?
I'll have to refer to those three because those are the ones
Yeah.
we tend to refer to the most.
Okay. Awesome possum.
Is there anything you guys want to touch on before we end it, or?
Any final comments or thoughts or anything?
I just want to say that, both of us were married previously. And between the two of us, we've got over 40 years of marriage. And most of it was not fulfilled and joyful. And we brought with us a lot of baggage and a lot of bad habits when we got married. And it felt, when the honeymoon stage wore off and we got to the power struggle phase, it felt
Pretty brutal.
It was rough and felt really hopeless, because we had been putting all this effort into improving ourselves and, really wanted this marriage to work and be happy, and we just couldn't quite grasp it. And then we found all of this information and the courses we took, and it has helped us exponentially. So I just want to say to anybody listening that there is always, always, always hope. And there are formulas, there are skills that you can learn. If you're really willing to look at yourself, there's always hope that you can be fulfilled in your marriage or in your relationship. You can be happy. And just know that Heavenly Father and the Savior can transform any marriage, any relationship, any person's heart.
Yeah.
And it's totally doable and totally possible. It might not be fun all the time.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but as things come together in our relationship, it follows into all aspects of life. Everything seems to be better and get better. And the communication skills that we learn for our relationship work with everyone we work with or talk to. And so everyone benefits from what we've learned. And we definitely didn't come with those initially. Like Ann said, when the honeymoon phase was over, it was over. And I really don't think that we would still be married if we hadn't gone through and learned these concepts. And if they can help us, and we were struggling, it was rough.
Yeah.
If it can help us, it can help anybody. If they just want to be willing to look in the mirror and just work on a few little things, step by step, life gets better and it gets to be joyful.
Yeah.
Because it's more the way God intended it to be.
Awesome.
That was great.
Yeah,
Thank
it was really
you
good. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you have the perfect coaching voice as well too, Chad.
Isn't he?
Yes, you guys should seriously think about starting your own podcast or get on social media, because like how you speak is like peaceful and graceful, and it's calming and smooth. Yeah, you have an
too,
amazing
and
voice.
You as well.
Well, thank
Yes.
you.
Well, I was trying to compliment Chad.
I appreciate it.
No, yours is okay, Ann.
Actually,
I'll
actually
kick
part
them
of
later for you.
If I could just reach.
Yeah.
actually, thanks for saying that. But one of the things when we do our sound immersion things, I start out and do a guided meditation because I
Okay.
think I've got that FM DJ voice.
You do, yes.
She's
Yeah.
really good at it.
And
Yeah.
to help kind of set the mood and help people
Yeah.
relax. So
Yeah. Well, thank you guys again for coming in and doing
Thank
that.
you
And
both.
thank you. That was a lot of fun. So
That's fun.
don't forget to follow us, like us, subscribe on wherever you're listening to, on Spotify, Apple, or the Google Play. And give us a good review. If you don't want to give us a good review, well, don't give us a review. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day. And if you believe it, you can achieve it. And we'll catch you next week on the 4 Pillar Podcast.